And it's Ken Kraetzer for Cadets Media. We cover cadets, midshipmen, the military, and veterans proudly since 2008, and we are looking forward to the start of another Army football season, defending their Commander-in-Chief trophy, and have a chance to visit with their sports information director for football. Does a great job, Eric Szczepinski. And Eric, good to see you. How are you doing today?
Doing well, Ken. Thanks for having me. It's good to be on this end of it for one time. Usually I'm, setting up all the interviews for you with, coach and players. So it's good to have a chance to talk to you today.
Absolutely. Well, you got a chance to go to a national conference of sports information directors for college sports communicators out in Las Vegas, and really curious about the event. Tell us a little bit, what was it like to go to this conference?
Sure. So myself and a few of our staff members recently attended College Sports Communicators, CSC, out in Las Vegas in the middle part of June. And really, it's a convention for athletic communication professionals from all divisions. There's Division 1, 2, 3, NAI there as well. And it covers all the major topics in the collegiate sports landscape and how it affects the realms of communications. So it's really not only a great opportunity to better yourself and learn the new tips and trends of the industry, but also just the network, and you meet a lot of great individuals, and you can pick up on a lot of different things just by talking and getting to know different people at different institutions.
Absolutely. So much change happening in college athletics in recent years with NIL, transfer portal, but new technology, social media, streaming. What were some of the topics that we're talking about at the event?
Sure, the two major hot topics that were talked about were, it was kind of funny because two of the topics, they don't impact us as much here at Army, but it's still good to have a really good sense on how to approach them and how these other major schools are navigating these things. And the two topics were the transfer portal and NIL money, and just how some of these top schools, the Ohio States and the Floridas and whatever major Power Four school you want to insert, just how their communication professionals and SIDs are navigating working with these players that are coming in and out from the portal, going in, going out, but then also the guys that are, trying to profit from themselves on the NAL side, and just how that changes the realm of the SID's job, whether it's, they're getting presented by, their student athletes, their star quarterback, with commercial shoots and different endorsements, and what now the SID's role is in supporting that. Is that is that a hands-off approach? Is it something that the SID should be helping, the star quarterback with, XYZ, commercial shoots and things of that nature that are different from the traditional job of the SID, right? Doing the traditional interview setups with, guys like yourself and the traditional beat reporters, but how it's kind of taken a different angle. And now it's obviously there's incentives now for athletes to do different appearances and things of that nature, and how the SID kind of fits into that.
Well, it's so much change in college athletics. Of course, at West Point, the players aren't allowed to have part-time jobs. So my understanding is they're not allowed to accept an NIL, although they do get a stipend because they are soldiers in the U.S. Army as cadets, and and once they set foot in a class for junior year, they're bound to their 5-year service commitment. So it's not like they can transfer. But as Coach Munkin says, you can't transfer into West Point.
No, that's absolutely correct. I mean, I think we've had since I've been here going into my third football year, I think football's had one guy transfer in, Kyle Kloska, who came from Central Michigan. It's just so rare. And obviously there's been a few guys along the way that, transfer out, but it's really a one-way portal for Army of guys just going out, not coming in. So it's unique here, obviously, but obviously there's a lot of pros with what we do have, and there's advantages to not having to deal with the portal as much or NIL. So
Absolutely. Dedication to training to serve our country to be officers in the U.S. Army. Who were some of the speakers there? Was it coaches? Was it athletic directors? Was it fellow sports information? Any talks that stood out?
sure, there's a few different panels that were really interesting. Some were, high level communication professionals from uh, several different schools. One being Jerry Emig. He's the sports information director at Ohio State. He's been there for quite a few years,
I've
and I
met
think
him.
he's yeah, when Army Ohio State back 2017, I think it was. But he's a communications professional of 30 plus years in college football, and just someone that's been around it as much as he has, how he's adjusting to some of the things we just talked about, like NIL and the transfer portal, and how that's kind of flipped the landscape of what he does on a daily basis now. One of the really good panels that I sat in on was dealing with crisis communications.
Mhm.
And that's something you never really, hope to deal with, but you always have to be prepared for crisis situations. And, knock on wood, that doesn't happen here at Army to a huge extent. But the panel they had was the communications professional at, it was, I think it was Illinois State. And I think back in 2015, they had a situation where their AD and a few of their basketball coaches were flying back from an NCAA tournament game, and their plane crashed, and everyone on the plane was lost. So from his perspective, it was just how he dealt with that situation, not only with all the national media, the Fox Newses, the CNNs, ABC News, that wanted to cover that tragic event at their institution, but then just how he dealt with the communication with the members of the athletic department and the institution to kind of piece together the proper messaging and how to handle the situation in obviously a dire time.
Yes, well, we sadly had the occasion with Brandon Jackson, his loss in a car accident back in 2016, I believe that was, and so it does happen. So being prepared is key for when tragic events or serious events happen at your school. Um, Tell us a little bit about. I'm always interested in the new technology. Sports information is now so much on social media. You're still working with the network. Streaming is becoming more and more important. What were some of the new technologies they talked about?
Yeah, sure. I think in the last, several years, just with, how popular and how widespread, social media usage is, I think our jobs as SIDs, you have to wear a lot of hats sometimes, right? There's the setting up and coordinating and prepping coaches and players for interviews, but then there's the traditional part of the job where you still have to prepare game notes and write game recaps and provide media statistics. But then the new part of the job is, running social media accounts, the Twitters, the Instagrams, making graphics or posting videos. So there's three major things there that, this job kind of requires. So a lot of the new technology, there was a lot there, but one that stood out to me was it's called it's a service and a platform. It's called the Online Media Guide. And what it does is similar to what we do like on, the website and, writing player bios and keeping track of statistics. It's more of an automated platform where it kind of builds out your media guide and some of your game notes for you. So it saves a lot of time for the SID from doing kind of manually entering statistics and changing over statistics from game one to game two, where it kind of automates that and makes it into PDFs for you that kind of mimic what your typical game note design would be. And that would potentially save the SID a lot of time on Sunday from a Saturday game to turning over the notes to Monday or Tuesday when we do coaches, press conference going into the next game week. And that would just free up the SID for so many more things, whether it's engaging in more interview requests or, taking a bigger role in the social media stuff. But there's a lot of things like that, are out there that are just kind of aiding and helping the profession develop.
Hey, one question you kind of alluded to it is time management in your job because it has expanded the number of things that you're expected to manage across the board, not just football, but all the athletics. And we see, obviously helping with recruiting now with NILs with the players. And it can be really a 24/7 occupation from August to through April into May, and and managing it, managing family time. How do they help you advise on how you manage your time so it can be a workable occupation?
Sure. I think everybody probably has a different approach to it. Well, I think number one, to be in the field of communications and working, high level football communications, as well as just, here at Army, a unique place in general. I think number one, you have to be highly motivated and driven, where there's really no easy days here, regardless of, what's going on. You kind of have to bring your lunch pail every day, so to speak, and come ready for the challenge. But dealing with what you kind of asked about, taking time off, like obviously once football starts, it's full go. And I love the football season, right? I'm bought in, and, I love the grind of what, the team's striving for to, win the Commander-in-Chief's trophy year in and year out. And hopefully this year we play a bowl game or, get into the college football playoff or however long that goes. But once the season's over, when the winter months or the early spring after spring ball, that's definitely the time to whether you can work from home a little bit or if you just take off completely for a couple weeks. I try to, take off my, a good part of the spring or early summer, get away with the wife for a little bit. And that's really the time to recharge your batteries. And then just the back end of that is you just kind of know in the back of your mind your fall is going to be a heavy workload, and you just try to balance that out throughout the rest of the year, the spring, summer, by taking the trips that are necessary and kind of getting away and doing whatever you like outside of football and athletics.
Absolutely, balance, family work balance is so important to maintain. And I thought you're joining the American Athletic Conference this season. You'll have the media day down in Texas coming up in later in July. Looking forward to that. What's it like for you? What roles changed now that you're going to be a member of the conference after having been an independent?
Sure. So as you said, that my first 2 years at Army, we've been independent. So with a lot of this stuff from my end, it's kind of been, you're independent, right? You can kind of do, in some ways, kind of whatever you want in terms of your media coverage or how you do this or how you do that. But now, obviously, being a conference member, the American has its own PR and communication team as well. So just communicating with them a lot more on different initiatives. The first one being, obviously, there's a conference affiliated media day that we're preparing for that will be coach and some of our captains will be attending before the season in July. So obviously the preparation for that's one thing. And then some of the other things throughout the season being in a conference, there'll be weekly conference awards, different conference recognitions and lists and honor lists that will be, that our guys will be eligible for. So just kind of figuring out the schedule and some of the different things that we're now eligible for that, we obviously weren't as an independent. So kind of just mapping out the communications plan with the American and kind of figuring out, what the battle rhythm is for, when player awards are nominated and when guys are selected to different lists and honors and things like that, and when, and how that all ties into what we're doing.
Well, Eric Szczepinski, who is the assistant athletic director, manages football communications at the U.S. Military Academy. Hey, touch tell our audience again your path from college. You worked for a couple of NFL teams before West Point.
Sure, Ken. So kind of my path before I got to Army was after I graduated school, I kind of knew I was going to go I wanted to go the sports route, the sports communications route. So I was fortunate enough after I graduated, I was the Cincinnati Bengals communications intern for a full season with the Bengals. And just after that experience, the doors that opened and the people you meet throughout the course of an NFL season that led me to go to the Chicago Bears for 2 seasons. And I was with the Chicago Bears communications team for 2 seasons, and just kind of built on my foundation that I got with the Bengals. And you learn from a new organization, you learn from new PR professionals on how, and then you kind of build your own foundation internally of, things you like and don't like, right? Like, as I've built my career, there's some things I like from the Bengals that I still implement, and maybe some things that I didn't like. And same thing with the Bears. And you kind of gain different perspectives along the way, from some high level, NFL clubs. So then after 2 years with the Bears, I went and worked for their NFC North rival, the Green Bay Packers, which was a really unique experience, right? Because that's a historic rivalry, right, in the NFL, the Packers and Bears. So to see both lenses of that rivalry and learn from 2 highly esteemed communication staffs, I think it just well-rounded me to learn. I mean, learning from 3 NFL staffs I thought was really valuable. And I absolutely loved my time in the NFL, and I was, just continuing to climb the ladder and see what possibilities were out there. But in the spring, summer of 2022, so almost 2 years ago, this opportunity at Army came about, and it was, Army came calling. And once the stars kind of fell in line here at Army, that it was just an opportunity that was, too awesome to pass up. And I can't believe it's been 2 years, going into my 3rd football season already here. And it's been just everything I've dreamed of and more.
Well, it's been great to work with you. You bring so much to your job in promoting the Army football team, working with media, and it's been a great experience. Uh, Eric, any final thought for us today?
No, I enjoyed our talk today, Ken, and I look forward to seeing you soon, my friend.
Absolutely. Just a few weeks before West Point's first visit to the American Athletic uh, Conference's Media Day down in Texas. Looking forward to covering that, and start a training camp August 1st, and then the start of the season Labor Day weekend. As Army defends its Commander-in-Chief Trophy win from 2024, and what a great season it was. So, Eric, good to see you. Thank you for joining us, and we'll look forward to seeing you at West Point very soon.
Awesome. Thanks, Ken. Have a great day. Go Army.
Thank you. I just want to shout out to our sponsor, the New York Yankees. And of course, Army's going to play Notre Dame at Yankee Stadium in November. Looking forward to that, and big supporters of West Point. And we always highlight the Special Operations Warrior Foundation. They provide scholarships and mentoring to families who have, in the special operations community, who have lost a member in service to our country. So thanks again to Eric. This is Ken Kraetzer for Cadets Media. Thank you for watching.